Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going lovely. Thank you so much for joining me. Well, we're going to create a couple of Christmas cards. Still celebrating Christmas in July with Spellbinders Be Merry Collection. Today we're going to play with a few of the items. This is the Dancin Gnome Die Set. Oh my goodness, I love this. Now this little gnome has kinetic capabilities where his legs will swing back and forth. So he can dance a jig, but we're not going to create him in a traditional way. I wanted to show you, think outside the box and show you a couple different ways to use that die set. Now for my sentiment for both of my projects today, I'm using a stamp and die set that's new, part of the Be Merry collection. Nice that it has a die that will cut out all the sentiments. You would just trim off one side, but it's nice to have that option that especially cutting thin strips like that, so the dies included. I thought that was really nice. That's called the Mini Christmas Greetings stamp and die combo. Okay, we're going to jump in. Now, little Dancin Gnome can stand on top of a tree trunk here, and it is very etched and detailed, which is really nice. And then you can also create a fun tree that is in this die set. Now, we're not going to create a card with the Dancin Gnome dancing. I wanted to think outside the box and give you some different options. I'm sure Spellbinders will come out with a video with the Dancin Gnome. So I want to show you some alternate projects using this. Now the tree, oh my goodness, it's just as cute as that Dancin Gnome. So we're going to die cut this out with some green cardstock. All the cardstock that I'm using today is part of the Spellbinders Color Essentials. The green that I'm using is, I believe, Rainforest. And then I'm taking the tree trunk piece and we're going to cut out that with Portobello. And then this little piece has little wiggly lines that add little snow highlights to the bottom of your tree trunk. I'm going to die cut that out twice. So we have two sets of these little trees. Now, the trunk there's a stump and a trunk in that one die set, so you can die cut it out with one shot with the same color cardstock. I thought that was really nice. I'm going to use the small trunk for the tree today. Now I'm adding glue to the very bottom of my trees. Now this is a layering tree, which makes it fabulous and dimensional. I'm just adding a little bit of glue at the very bottom. You want to make sure it's kind of a thin line. If you wanted to use your white liner sheets or some self-adhesive sheets behind your white snowy parts here, you could, but this is just as easy. You just add your little snowy detail to the bottom of the trees. There's 3 different layers for the 3 layers of the tree. Super easy to do, and I think this looks adorable. Oh my goodness, I love the way this looks. Now, here I die cut out enough to create, without the extra tree trunk, enough to create 2 trees. So you just take the 3 layers, layer them together. I'm going to do something a little special because I think it's so neat that you could do this. This is how you would normally make it. Layer your 3 together, add your trunk, and you have a cute little tree to create some fun scenes. Or you can layer as many as you want. This is what the tree looks like when it's layered together. Isn't that so sweet? Oh my gosh, this is fern cardstock. We're not going to use the 3 layer. We're going to do a little stacking. That's why I double die cut each one of these out. You just add little dots of glue to the top, and of course your very last one you don't want any glue to. Little dot of glue to your tree trunk, and then you layer them. I'm going to place mine a little bit wonky. I think it looks so playful and so fun. I want mine kind of tilting to the left. So I'm adding the first 2 layers, second 2 layers, and then the third 2 layers. And we have a tall, skinny tree, which is just so fun. I love this. This would be perfect on a mini slimline or a regular slimline, because you can go tall or as short as you want. So I think that's the cutest little tree. I did the same thing with all the greens in the Spellbinders Color Essential cardstock. So I have the Peridot, I have Rainforest, and then I have Fern. So 3 different colors of trees that are tall and skinny. We're going to use this on our first card. So no little gnome on our first card, just the trees. Now for my background, I'm bringing in an embossing folder. This is the Sun Rays embossing folder. Actually, I take that back. I'm going to be using the Plaid Company. I'm taking a panel that measures slightly smaller than my card base. And then I'm also taking the dies that Spellbinders has. This is the color block Scenic Scene dies. I hope I said that right. Scenic Scape dies. I created a snowbank with those. Those are so nice. Now, once I have my background panel embossed, I used one of my new favorite cardstock colors. It's very neutral. It's a warm gray. It's called Silver Fox. I embossed that with my Plaid Company embossing folder. I did wrap some natural twine around my snowbank at the very bottom, and it kind of gives my background a little bit of an earthy tone, and that's what I was kind of going for. So this could be a masculine card if you wanted to send it to Grandpa. I think it would look really nice. Now I'm going to go ahead and add foam adhesive behind my snowbank and all of my tall trees. Now we're ready to build a little scene. I'm going to remove the release paper off of my snowbank. We'll pop this up on the very bottom of our panel, and my panel size, by the way, is 4 inches by 5 1/4, so it's slightly smaller than my card base. We're going to go ahead and adhere this to our card base, which is a standard A2 size card base. Just love this Silver Fox cardstock. Okay, after we have this done, we're going to go ahead and add our trees. Now normally I like to offset my trees kind of in an asymmetrical kind of a way. I don't like things very symmetrical on my cards, but today's cards are pretty much symmetrical. So, but I love the way they turned out. Aren't the trees so fun? I mean, the first one is tilted to the left. This one here is kind of tilted a little bit to the right. And then we have our fern colored tree. It's going to go right in the middle and slightly higher. I think that looks very lovely. Now you can see how easily this would fit on a mini slimline card or a regular slimline card. So nice that there's options with the Dancin Gnome Die Set. I'm just gluing down the trunks to my snowbank. Okay, now I think that looks very organic and playful, but I'm going to go ahead and step it up a little bit and add some gems. The gems that I'm using are Damask Daydream gemstones. They are from my card kit from last month. And so I thought we'd put them to good use. And guys, if you guys didn't get the card kit and think these are pretty fabulous, which they are, it's a huge package. Spellbinders sells them individually, and I'll list it down below. But I'm going to completely embellish my trees. We're going to take away from the organicness of it and sparkle it up. Adding lots of ornaments. And if you wanted to, you could add some stars to the top, but I just like the green with the gray. I just think it looks really pretty. So we're all sparkled up. Now we just need to stamp our sentiment, and we're going to bring in the mini Christmas greetings. I'm going to stamp on some black cardstock. So I'm going to do, these are pretty thin, it's pretty skinny. So I'm going to definitely bring in my Misty for stamping, and I'm going to stamp all at once. I just stamped them on some black cardstock. Treated my paper with my anti-static powder tool. You could see I treated it really well. Almost like I dipped it in powder. But no worries, it just rubs off. I'm going to go ahead. I stamped all of my sentiments at once, guys. Makes it easy and made it more balanced in my Misty. I'm going to line up the coordinating die and cut out all my sentiments. Now, the top sentiment I chose says Merry wishes to you and yours. I cut off the Merry because I have the Merry Christmas. I'm going to double up on my sentiments, kind of customize it. So my sentiment will read Merry Christmas wishes to you and yours. So I like that you can do that. So I left the Merry there when I cut it out. I'm not sure for my card today which one I want to put on front. I have Joyful Blessings for All, and then I have From Our Home to Yours. So we'll figure out which one we want to use, and then we'll put the other one on the inside. How about that? Once I did die cut out all my sentiments, I chose Joyful Blessings for All, and then we'll put our second sentiment on the inside. And I think that looks fabulous. Card number 1 is done. Not using the gnome, just the trees. I think they're so fun. Now we're going to use the gnome, but not in a dancing matter. We are going to create a non-kinetic card. So I have 2 pieces of cardstock. These are again from all the cardstock that I'm using is from the Color Essentials. I'm going to create a striped hat by layering our stripe piece on the inside of our hat die, and then I'll take the outline die and cut out a base for our striped hat. Once they're die cut, we're going to glue them both together. Now for my card, this card at least, I'm going to create a card using non-traditional colors. I want to use some bright colors, almost like ornaments. You know how or not ornaments, Christmas lights. So that's what I went for. I'm going to go ahead and take the gnome beard, the stash, and also the little piece that has the nose and the mittens, and also it has the little the elf boots. I'm going to die cut that out because I need the nose to be white. Now for the body, I'm going to die cut out with a bunch of colorful cardstock pieces along with the arms. And then we're going to take that same nose die and cut out a bunch of little mittens with colored cardstock. I went ahead and die cut out a little gnome hat. Now put these guys together. It's so easy, but it looks so stinky cute. We are going to go ahead, first color in our little noses. I'm bringing my scratch paper here. Now you can color this with colored cardstock, but I think it's just as easy to use Copic markers. So this is E00. It's a nice flesh tone. And then I'm going to add a little rosiness with my RV10 and just do a little highlighting on the right side of my nose to give it a little pink rosiness. And the noses are done. Now you can do the same thing with the little arm pieces and the mittens. So you don't have to die cut out each of the little mittens. You could actually color them in with your Copics to make it a little easier. Now to assemble our little gnome face, it's very easy. You just add dots of glue to the top of the beard piece, add your hat, easy peasy so far, and then you add your mustache right over the hat. I like dimension, so I'm going to go ahead and add some foam squares behind my little mustache here, or my girls call it a stash. I always think stash is my craft stash, but I guess stash kind of sounds a little cool. We're going to go ahead and add foam adhesive, remove the release paper. This is going to go directly in between your beard and the hat. And I just think this is the cutest. I lost one of my little foam squares. So it's coming along. And there's etched detail in the little mustache, which is so cute. I'm adding little dots of glue. And then we're going to add our gnome. Gnome is going to be set just above the mustache. This way it gives a little extra dimension. And basically that's our gnome face. Cute as a whistle, huh? Cute as a whistle. I don't know if whistles are cute, but they're pretty cute. Now the bodies I cut out with a whole bunch of different colored cardstock too. I actually created quite a few extra little gnomes you can see here. I wanted 7 in total. And this is a nice way to use your scraps too. So I went through my scraps, found a whole bunch of different cardstock, and just went to die cutting. For my background, we're going to add all of our little gnomes to Silver Fox cardstock. It's the same cardstock we created our background with for our first card. This time we used an embossing folder called Sun Rays. I chose this one because of the circle and the sun rays. It was a nice center place. I wanted to make a circle of gnomes, so this is not only going to add a little bit of detail to my background, but it's also going to help me keep everything centered. So if you don't have a stencil or embossing folder like this, use the stencil, guys. You could stencil your background too. Now I'm going to go ahead and add foam adhesive just to the top area, basically on my gnome's hat, and kind of arrange them how I want them on my panel. They are overhanging a bit, but that's okay. And then I cut out 4 bodies because I didn't think I needed them because they were going to be overhanging, but I think we're going to need them. So I'm going to cut out a few extra bodies. I'm just arranging the colors so it doesn't coordinate with my little gnome's hat. I'm kind of spreading out the color, basically keeping it nice and bright. I'm going to grab my body and cut out a few more. Okay, now I didn't adhere them together just yet. I wanted to space them and color them so that I didn't have two blues next to each other. Add the body, it's very, very easy. Just add a little glue halfway behind the beard and then glue the body down. How easy is that? I added foam adhesive. I'm going to have to remove that. Add a little glue, tack down the body, and we'll put that foam adhesive back. So we're good to go. These are going to be popped up on my panel here. But I just think this looks so fun. Now at this point is where you would add the legs that can dance. You would just, I'll leave that video for the Dancin' Santa. That's how you would add the little legs to your Dancin Gnome. But to create the arms, very easy. You just add a dot of glue, and then you can add the little mitten that you would die cut out. It's very small, so if you guys don't like the small pieces, I suggest maybe die cutting out white cardstock and just coloring it in with your favorite coloring medium to make it a little easier. The nice thing about the arms is there is that circle on the back of at the end of the arm, so you don't have to fuss with the itty bitty tiny arm to stick on the back. You have it's a pretty large piece that you can adhere to the back, or you can pop up either way you want. Now I'm adding the arms. I basically added the arms to the bottom and the top gnomes, kind of connecting them so it looks like they're holding their hands, and it created a perfect circle. So if you wanted to do that with all of the gnomes, the ones on the left and right I didn't really worry about. There wasn't that much spacing between them. But if you wanted to create arms for all of your gnomes and connect it and put it on a square card, I think that would be fabulous. Once I'm done adding the arms and adding my gnomes, I just removed the release paper and popped them up. We're going to add our card panel to our card base, which is an A2 size card, and it's covering the entire card front. I'm going to go around all the edges and trim off the excess pieces of the gnome. Sometimes it hurts doing this, but after you see it, I just think it looks fun. It didn't hurt that bad because you could always make more, right? Now for my sentiment, we're going to use our mini Christmas greetings. We're going to put Merry Christmas, and then the bottom one says wishes to you and yours. And we'll center them, and then we're going to add a little bit. I kind of like the matte look of this, but I do want a little bit of extra something. So I'm using my glaze and glue. This is like Journey Glaze or Glossy Accents. I'm just going to go over the nose and shining it up, and then that finishes off my second project using the Dancin Gnome. So this is a different option using the set. Well, I love sets like this because I think you get so much out of your dies. You know, it's just not a Dancin Gnome. You can do so much more with it. So I'll list everything below. I thank you so much for joining me, guys. Have a fabulous Tuesday, and we will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.